Disclose location.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
We good.
I didn't want you to be surprised. I'm not going.
Here we go, y'all. We are live. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy day two of Craft Beer Con 2022. My
Yes,
name
indeed.
is Kiana McCoy, also known in these beer streets as Bougie Beer Girl. I am here with some fantastic people. We are ready to talk the influence of the influencer. We have all been pumping this conversation. We are so super excited to share this conversation with you. So if you are watching, good morning and happy Friday. Drop us a hello in the comments. Please let us know where you are from. If you are here, welcome to Atlanta. If this is not your home destination, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with Mikey B. Mikey, please introduce yourself, your name, your Instagram handle, let folks know where they can follow you, and your connection to the industry, and what beer style best describes your personality? This is my favorite icebreaker question, by the way. So I'm interested to hear what you all have to say.
Who's going first?
You first. It's on
Oh, I'm
you.
first. Okay, my
Hmm.
my camera went out. I'm so sorry. Mikey B, Party of Two Brew Crew. My connection to the beer industry is I do all things craft beer media. I me myself and other people call me an influencer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I truly don't like that word, but I absolutely get it and I absolutely understand the meaning behind influencer. And I think the best style of beer that would describe me, I mean, I got to go with my favorite style, IPA. And the reason for that is because, I mean, it's just an endless, it's an endless, it's endless what you could do to an IPA. You know, you got black IPAs, you have double, triple, quadruple IPAs. You know, I've had IPAs that's like 10%. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. I'm extremely versatile. You know, and then that also embodies craft beer. Excuse me, being very versatile and just being able to throw different things out there and just see what sticks. And that's Mikey B.
All right. Mr. Irvin, good morning.
It's so weird to hear people use my government name. Kevin Irvin is my government name, affectionately known in the beer community and all my friends as Swerve. I'm one half of Drought Season. I am the operations manager at Atlantucky Brewing. And I like to influence things, but I'm kind of like Mikey B. I wouldn't call myself an influencer per se. I like to connect dots behind the scenes and put my people in a position to have success. So I guess I behind the scenes like to influence. A style that would best describe me, I'm gonna go with Mikey B, and I'm gonna go with my favorite style, which would be a stout, because stouts can come in very low and be very palatable, and they can come in super heavy, and that can be me. I can be very cool and chill, but I can also be a bit much. So it just depends on how you catch me and what situation we're in. But I think a stout would definitely describe my style.
All right. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here. So I am a freelance writer and content creator. I do not also use the word influencer. I prefer content creator. And I think we could all talk about why we don't like that word.
Yes.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
later after the
Mm-hmm.
introductions.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a newsletter called The Share. It's on Substack if you want to go subscribe.
Subscribe
It's
today.
Yes, it's about I focus on alcohol, beer, particular beer, cocktails, food, and the Black women who make them. And I'm gonna have to go with a stout, but I'll go imperial stout because
Nice.
Okay.
they have a nice sweetness to them. I consider myself a nice sweet person, strong, um, something you want to take your time with. I'm a good person to chill with. And but also, I'm nice, but don't mess around because if you drink me too fast, you might get in trouble.
Ah,
I like it. I
Like
like it. Roshni, hello, hello.
Hello, thank you all for having me. I'm Roshni Rai. I'm with Creature Comforts Brewing. So I'm on the actual brewery side of things on the marketing team there. And thank you so much for having us. Our whole team was honored that you invited us and helped to prepare for this event this morning. And yeah, we're excited just to learn from each other by having both sides of that perspective. The from all different angles. And so, as far as beer styles, yeah, you all took my answers with those stouts. So maybe I'll go porter, just a little bit different, but it's still, yeah, anything malty, because it has those different flavors that again are usually very sweet and a little chocolatey, but also depending on, there's just a touch of bitterness in there just to balance it out when you need it. So yeah, that's me.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, everyone. So let's jump right in because I am excited to get this thing started. So, first question, let's define the role of the influencer with respect to the beer industry. And this is where we can kind of talk about why you don't like that term influencer. So, what do you guys feel designates a person as an influencer? And Mikey B, I'm gonna start with you.
Perfect. Thank you. I think really what designates somebody as an influencer is what can they bring to that brewery. So for me, I know that I can bring a crowd. That's been me since high school. If Mikey V puts on something, there's going to be a crowd there. So I think that's really what designates somebody as an influencer is what can you bring to that brewery or to whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay. Stephanie?
Yeah, so if we're looking just at beer, I feel like the influencer plays two roles. They are someone their followers trust to make recommendations about things, share information about the community. And then on the other side of that, someone who can partner with breweries and help share what they're doing at their particular breweries. Um, and ooh, yeah, that's my definition.
Okay. So I've got a quick follow up. So with influence comes responsibility. We all know that. What is the main responsibility that you hold as an influencer in this space?
Keeping it 100 at all
Mhm.
times. Keeping
Mhm.
it 100. Oftentimes with what we do, people are looking for our honest opinion, and just like
Absolutely.
she stated, they're looking for our honest opinion. So it's on us to hey, if it's a drain pour, we need to say it's a drain pour. Like, or if there's something that could be done differently, let's let them know that it can be done differently. I'm also on the side of not I'm not gonna bash a brewery publicly. That's not what I'm here for. Like I'm not here to tear down any brewery or anything like that. You know that should be a private conversation. With the brewery, I can easily and very tactfully say that I don't like something, and then go to the brewery and say, hey, look, this is what I tasted. This what could have been done differently.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Stephanie, what's your
Yeah, I
thoughts on
totally
that?
agree with Mikey said. It your job to I mean you're really building trust with both sides. And so that's like part of your job is to be authentic with your audience and then also with brands, breweries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you're not doing that, then I think that you lose a lot of your power as an influencer.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Kevin, you have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree, but I think that as I'm hearing it, that's probably why I don't look at myself as an influencer. Because if you know me, I'm very vocal about things that I think aren't correct,
Mhm.
and
You and me both.
yeah, so that's why I think to Stephanie's point and to what Mikey was saying, when you're in that influencer space, you do have a respect to hold the reputation of who you're influencing for in high regard.
Absolutely.
So even if you disagree with something and you don't like it in that position, you want to probably have that conversation behind scenes. But me, I like to have those conversations up front and personal.
Mhm.
So that's why I would say that for me, and I don't mean malice by it, but I think
Right.
sometimes you have to. I think when you sugarcoat things, sometimes they become too sweet. You don't really understand
Right.
what you're trying to get in your message.
Right.
So,
Right.
certain things, I like to address them up front, especially if I have the ear of like the person that owns it or a decision
Yeah.
maker. I don't try to ambush you, but I will ask you a direct question on something that I have an opinion on.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Great.
Absolutely. Roshni, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely agree. Because we looked in, just like you said, you all are trusted advisors, and with that trust, you want the good and the bad. And we we always say that at Creature we exist to foster human connection and to help people navigate the beautiful and complex world of beer. And there are a lot of nuances there. There are a lot of
Yes.
ups, a lot of downs,
Yeah.
and we're not going to learn from each other unless some people point out things that you may not want to hear or see sometimes. But that's the only way you can learn and get better, is if you have those mistakes called out. Or they might be mistakes, they might just be differences of opinion, but either way you have to start that conversation before you can move forward.
Yeah.
Exactly. I 100% agree. In business, folks do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I think that's the same thing with beer. We take influence and we take suggestions and recommendations from people we know, like, and trust. Folks who we know have a great palate,
Mhm.
who we trust to give us fair, honest opinions on beer, and we trust that they're going to point us in the right direction and we're going to have a great experience. So thanks everyone for that, and let's go to the next question. What challenges do you face as a influencer, content manager, content creator in this industry with leveraging your name or your brand? Stephanie, let's start with you.
Yep.
Okay. One of the things that I find difficult about working in a space as an influencer, um, it's just I think that breweries are behind on how to properly work with influencers.
Mhm.
Um, I've had many of people slide into my inbox wanting content in exchange for a six pack, and we have to move beyond that. Um, this is part of my work. This is my job. I take this seriously, and to be given a six pack in exchange for work, and then knowing that I will be sending people, to whatever brewery to purchase that item, and I'm just kind of left out. Like, and it's not. I think that I remember when influencers started becoming a thing, and I remember this argument being made like 6 or 7 years ago, and still, like, the beer industry hasn't acknowledged that the people who you want to post about your items, they deserve some type of financial compensation for their work. And that has been my struggle with, one, even calling myself an influencer, because in my mind, influencer gets paid by the people that they were partnering with. And I feel like, to go to a brewery and ask them for money, a lot of them don't want to give you money in exchange. They want to give you beer. And I have enough beer. I don't need free beer. I really don't.
Agreed.
Also, I can buy my own beer. So that has been my struggle with this industry. Is it's a six pack is not enough for my time.
Mhm.
I think they don't understand the worth of the position. That's what I find a lot
Yes.
of times, and it's not even just influencers. Like I'm an operations person. I do HR, back end services, and some of the conversations that I'm having, not just with Atlanta, because I don't want to think I'm blasting where I work, but all breweries, of all colors and creeds, or just certain
Hmm.
things that they just don't understand are important to really move into that next level. So I think that what we're seeing are the breweries that from us as beer drinkers, we may say, well, why are they being so successful? How is this brewery growing so fast? Their beer's average. It's not really as good as we would think these other breweries are. It's because they're honed in on what it takes to move a business forward, not what it takes to make a craft beer. So it's going to be good connections with influencers. It's going to have good back end services. It's going to be partnering with the right people and positioning yourself, knowing how to work ads on social media. All those things that don't seem as important, where they think, oh, just post it, just put a post on IG, you know what I mean, and not even understand how the metrics of all that work.
Yeah.
That's where I think they're dropping the ball, and I would throw influencer in that as well. So that's where I think we step in to show that worth from the opportunities we've had. So the other breweries like, well, hey, I saw you working with them. Like, let me stun on my Sora Steph for a second. You know what I mean? She started working with Monday Night, and I feel you saw an influx in their growth from that. You actually could tangibly see response from her email saying, hey, we got a new beer coming out, come and check it out. That they may say, well, we always do that, but when you have targeted direct, like, I feel like you're asking me personally, it's coming on my cell phone, that's a lot different. And I think breweries think that if we build it, they will come, and that's not really there. So Stephanie doing something like that, and then having the metrics to go to another brewery and say, hey, here's tangibly what I've done to do that, may get them to have more of an understanding, like, okay, this is a position we should pay for as much as a brew tender or a brewer or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
Great.
To
Go ahead, Mikey.
I want to backflip off of what Stephanie said. My trouble is really my trouble that I've seen is truly with the brewery. Like they and whoever runs their marketing, or whoever runs their social media. Even if the brewery, so like for me, I don't have a lot of like relationships with the breweries. Like I probably maybe have like 10 breweries that like send me beer and ask me to do stuff. But that's since stopped. I think I stopped that about 2 or 3 months ago. Um, because like Stephanie said, we need more. Like we need more than just beer. I can show you my fridge right now. It's chock full of beer. So like I don't need any more beer. What I need is and I think this is probably one of the questions later on, but we need to leverage our relationship, like an eye for an eye mostly, even if you didn't send me anything, let's just say Creature Comforts. If you all didn't send me anything, but I see that you dropped a new barrel aged stout, and I put it on my platform, I really feel like there's absolutely no reason for you not to at least acknowledge it and repost it. I think that's the very least that you can do. I purchased it there myself. I have my studio at home. I set up, I edit it, I put it out on all of my platforms. The very least that the brewery could do is repost it. And I'm not saying Creature Comfort as that they do that, but you're just here, so I apologize.
And Roshni, I don't want you to feel like we are jumping on breweries. She
came to the wrong one. We're gonna get
today, man. It's not you directly, but
not at all.
Not you directly. But you represent breweries, so
I
not at all.
But
no, and that's part of why we're here, because we want to know how we can be better, and it's an internal conversation that we have with our team as well. Is how do we be better and still stay authentic? There is that balancing line of we absolutely agree that everyone should be compensated fairly. That goes for everyone we work with internally, as well as, any artists or graphic designers or, anyone across the board. We have those discussions about compensation and how to treat them fairly. And then at the same time, we want to make sure that is transparent and clear about how we're doing that with them, as well as how we're doing that with our consumers. We don't want to just pay for content, pay for post, and have that be a sponsored post with someone, and then have consumers think, well, the influencer may or may not really appreciate that product. They might have just gotten paid for it. So how can we drive that relationship further and, go beyond just a product tasting and a product sampling, today I'm actually at the Giving Kitchen. We're volunteering today because there's such a great organization that helps food and beverage service workers. Like, how can we tie in folks like that and really go out in the community and work on programs together where we're all working together, and it's really valuable to everyone. And then absolutely, just like we would compensate a vendor who's supplying us with different items for an event, we would absolutely want to compensate the influencers and other folks as if they're an extension of our marketing team. So it's just how can we be better about working with you all for what you need and what we need to be more creative about being genuine and being authentic and transparent with everyone as we move forward.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Roshan,
Oh,
I have.
Oh, go ahead.
Roshan, you brought up a good point about sometimes people will see a sponsor post and we're like, oh, well, they were just paid to do that. And I think that's all. There's always going to be that small amount, and I feel like it's getting smaller over time. But going back to that trust aspect, if I'm posting something and I'm getting paid to post it, I would hope that my audience knows that I am not going to have a relationship with this brewery if I don't believe in their product.
Right.
And I would hope that
100%.
now that as influencers have been a part of this landscape for a few years now, like people need to understand, like it's not, I'm getting paid for my efforts. I'm not getting paid to necessarily put a green check on this product.
Yeah,
I'm not going to post something that I don't believe is delicious, or if the company has bad scruples. But yes, we have to combat some of those things. Because it's still present.
Right. And I think that's a very two-way conversation and relationship that needs to be had both with the breweries as well as with the influencers. And until you build up that relationship and that the influencer is genuine, that the brewery is genuine, because that goes on both sides. You never know until you actually form those relationships, who's true and who's not. And but once you do form that relationship, then yes, absolutely. If you know who is true with their followers, then those are the ones you want to keep moving and building stronger relationships with. Because just like breweries, there are some that are big in name, but the substance isn't there behind them. Unfortunately, it's the same with really anyone in any business. It's not just breweries, not just influencers. It's all across the board. So.
Absolutely.
You guys the comments are jumping right now. If you are watching us, thank you so much for joining us. Please keep the comments coming. If you have any questions for the panel too, please drop those in. We'll be happy to get to those at some point in our conversation. I'm sorry, I was about to cut somebody off. Go, please say what you were about to say.
Me. So, and the one thing that I want to add to that is, let's look at another product, like let's take Subway for instance, and you see Steph Curry on Subway. We know for a fact that Steph Curry does not eat Subway. Like, they're just doing that, because he's a popular figure. Seeing Steph Curry and Tom Brady on these commercials is not about to make me go out and do this. I'm not gonna go get a footlong from Subway because Steph Curry said so. But I think with us and the platforms that we build, we actually have these people come to these breweries. Hey, I'll be at whatever brewery tomorrow. Pull up, let's have a beer. Let's talk. And I think the best thing about beer and being an influencer is you forever learning, and you can forever build those relationships and conversations with people about a specific beer or a specific brewery. And that's what makes us so valuable to these breweries.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next question. We got some questions coming in from the audience as well, but I want to get through our standard questions before we jump to those. So next question, and Roshni, I'm gonna direct this one to you, and then Kevin, if you have anything to I keep calling you Kevin. It's so weird. Swerve, if you have
I
any.
know, right?
Hey, that
Swerve.
man named Swerve,
It's
man.
so
That's
weird.
Swerve right there.
Come on,
It's so
man. We
weird.
got people
He
on
knows
here that
I
might be
am.
professional. They may
Listen,
not
he
want to
knows
call
I
me by
only
my
call him
nickname.
Kevin when we talking business. So, Swerve, you can jump in on this one as well. But from a marketing perspective, what are some ways that influencers can bring value to breweries? So, Roshni, I want to direct that one to you first, and then Swerve, jump in on that one.
Yeah, I think, we've touched on quite a bit of it already, but just really, one, making sure those relationships are genuine, and then when they are, really helping to spread that awareness to new audiences that we might not have reached before, and being that trusted expert and that trusted advisor, because you might see a commercial or a billboard or a sign, but if it's someone you know or someone you trust who's giving their opinion on something of why they do or even don't like something, then you're more likely to listen to it. And you're more likely to say, okay, maybe I'll try something now that they've said something. So, yeah, that's always helpful. And just also, like we've also said before, being honest with your own perspectives and insights,
Exactly.
because you all are not just looking at our brewery, but you're working with so many other breweries and you're getting so many different perspectives. And so it's really great that we can learn from you as well. So about how we can be better, not just for you all, but for our customers and our communities. So
Yes.
yeah, that's always beneficial.
Love it.
Swerve.
So yeah, I would want to back that up a little bit to more of like a broader perspective on how I want to answer, because I think it's important to the point you just made of how much worth you have as an influencer, having all these relationships with these different breweries. And what I really try to get all my friends in the industry to know is, what is your worth when you're going to these people. That's the thing that you have to know more than anything, is what is your worth and what is your end game do you want to get out of it. If you're a newer influencer, you may not have the influence, if you will, that you can come in like Stephanie could with Monday night and say, okay, hey, here's my metrics of what I've done. I can request this level of cost for my service. You know what I mean? At first, it may just be intake. You know what I mean? I'm not with the beer. We're beer influencers. That's almost a slap in the face to me, is you're going to give me beer. I mean, this is what we do. So I get almost offended when someone wants to compensate beer for something that I'm doing. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. My fridge, like Mike, my refrigerator is packed with beer. I couldn't even take this beer if you wanted to give it to me. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yes,
don't even. So
yes,
you offering beer, I can't do it. Now my bank account, there's plenty of space in there. We can there's
plenty.
no
Always.
into whatever you want
Always.
to put there. So I think
Always.
understanding what your worth is. So when you go to have these conversations, regardless of whatever level you're at, you know what you're getting out of it. If I'm newer and want to get in, this is for me to get my brand out there. So when I started my consulting business, I did everything as just a referral. Like I was just really just refer me to someone. You know what I mean? And that honestly what got me here at Atlantucky was like, just give me a referral. Just put me in position with people, because I knew I knew what I did, because I'm coming from my professional industry that I've been in for 17 years, but I'm, a few weeks in craft beer at the time. So that was worth it for me to get myself up, because I knew what my worth was. I knew I had the knowledge, but I know that the people didn't know that I have the credibility. So I think that's an important part. So when you're going to a Creature Comforts or a Monday Night or whoever it may be, you're going to say, hey, at this level, this is what I can bring to the table. And it may be worth something. Sometimes, they may have a niche beer, a special beer that they're coming out. You can say, hey, I'm just going to focus on that for you. I'm not going to try to do all these big things for your brewery. You have this one thing you're trying to do, or this one event. Let me take care of that one thing, and then execute that. And then you build your credibility, and then you build better partnerships. And then, what I always try to say, make sure you get your metrics. Make sure when you're doing these things, you're documenting what you've done,
Right.
because you will come to a time where someone's going to ask you for that. You will come to a time where someone's going to specifically say, hey, cool, show me what you've done. And you
Mhm.
want to be like, here you go.
Here you
You know what I mean?
go.
With a nice package with a bow. And it's like, oh, here we go. Not like, check my IG. You know what I mean? Or, call Mikey B. That's my boy. He'll tell you what I did. You know what I mean? And it's like, that doesn't really suffice. So that's what I think. I'm sorry, I got a work call. I am at work too. But yeah, I think that that's what's most important in when you come to that, and then those bigger name companies will give you more credibility because you're coming to them credible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. Shout out to Chanel who just dropped an awesome gem in the
Mm-hmm.
comments. Take the time to understand what you have to offer, and the money will come. Amen to that. I think a lot of times we focus so hard and so strongly on where the money is going to come, but we need to focus on what we bring in because that's where the money is really going to come.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that wealth is not in uh a financial deposit, although those are nice and I am not discounting them at all, but those might come in a built relationship, a partnership with a brewery or a lifestyle brand that can elevate you to the next level in terms of your brand. So it's not always a financial turnaround right away, but it's going to eventually come to it. So
Mhm.
thanks, Chanel, for that comment. And I had a follow up, but I think we kind of covered that follow up question in this conversation. And so let's go to the next question. I'm trying to stay on task here because we got some great questions in the comments, guys. And please
Really
keep
do.
keep the questions coming, everyone. Next question: should influencers look to build relationships or partner with breweries? And does this impact your credibility to speak to your followers from a non-biased perspective? We kind of scratched the surface on this
Mhm.
question
Mhm.
earlier, but let's go a little bit deeper. So, Mikey B, I'm gonna start with you.
All right. I honestly and truly believe in relationships. Like
Mm-hmm,
relationships are paramount
mm-hmm,
with anything. Corporate jobs, family, friends, and in our industry, influencers and beer. Um, Relationships are 100% the key. Build those relationships, and as Shanice said, those partnerships are going to come. You know,
mm-hmm,
I'm going on 3 years. I'm in my third year doing craft beer media, is what I like to call it. Doing craft beer media, and I can honestly say, like, I've built some great relationships, not only with breweries, but with people in the beer industry. Like, I've gotten emails and phone calls about doing certain things in the beer community, and I have never even met those people before. But because I built a relationship with this one person, they automatically referred me to this other person, and they were like, "Hey,
mm-hmm.
Mikey B would be a great person to reach out and kind of get that information from." And that's what you want. You want those relationships, and those relationships branch out into different type of partnerships.
Mhm.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Stephanie.
Yeah, I totally what Mikey B said. Yes, relationships are so important
Mhm,
for life, for
right.
life. And that goes back to that authenticity part. If you have built a relationship with your audience and with the brands that you're partnering with, the breweries, any question about can people trust you, they know because they know you.
Exactly.
Mhm,
Exactly.
And so yes,
mhm.
absolutely. Should you build yes, partnerships, yes. Like that's what this whole thing is about.
Absolutely.
Um and I the so word of mouth marketing has our word of mouth as a component of marketing is like the strongest thing in any for any business.
Mhm.
And that's basically what an influencer is.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
exactly that's exactly what it is. And if you just look at it like that, it's just another type of marketing channel. And anytime you market something, I guarantee you have to pay something for
They got a
something for
budget.
that.
They got a budget
You
for it.
have to pay. So yes. And then the other part, what was the other part of your question?
Does this impact your credibility to speak to your followers from a non-biased perspective? And you kind of
I
answered
don't think,
that,
yeah,
but yeah.
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 Perfect.
So to be clear, your answer was no, it does not.
No, no, not if you're doing it right. Not
That's
if you're
right.
doing
Exactly.
it right.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I
That's
think
right.
it's like what she said. You have to do it right. And
Mhm.
also, just in the same way, building those relationships helps you find the people that you want to work with. you won't know who you don't want to work with until you try and form those relationships and you take it deeper. So it's really the only way to learn.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. That's right. Swerve, you got any comments on this one?
No, I just think it's important for the influencer to know that that's your wealth, is your people. So when you're going to these breweries, don't get caught up in trying to get these relationships with these businesses that you miss out on. What are you bringing to the table? Which are your followers? So that's who you have to be loyal to. Those are your customers, so to say. So
Yes.
you're bringing your customer base in a partnership perspective to another group. They may be bigger, but those are, let's say you only have 10 influencers, those are 10 people that would not be there. Let me tell you, when you work in a brewery, those Wednesdays, those Thursdays, those Tuesdays, the day that people aren't coming in, those 10 people mean something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It may not seem that it's a lot, but that's the thing that you have to know. So if you're coming, when you're building that and you're saying, hey, I'm coming with 50 people, so I don't need to, like, hey man, can we rent the space? Like, I'm bringing 50 people that you would not have. If you don't want me to bring them here, that's fine. I can take them to your neighbor or your competition down the street. And usually when you position things like that, like, well, hold on, let's have a conversation. Let's see what we can do. But that's you knowing your worth coming in and building that up through your customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of marketing strategies, and I want to throw this one to you first, Roshni. How can the brewing industry better engage influencers in their marketing strategy? And everybody, feel free to jump in on this one as well.
Yeah, so that was actually, I was curious to hear from everyone else on this because I know we can absolutely be better. We're always asking ourselves this question about how to be better. You know, we try to make sure that we're including folks on invites to events or social conversations just like this where we're all learning from each other, or even introducing the people we know to other people that they might not know so that they can build up their networks and learn from other folks who we trust and respect as well. We're always trying to do new things, but yeah, I would love to know what we can do to be better so that it not only helps us, but how can we help you to strengthen your brand and your reach and get you the compensation that you deserve, and all the what else are you looking for besides compensation, all these things that you need to work into your marketing strategy. We need to work into our marketing strategy as well. So how can we do that together?
Yeah, that's a great point that you just brought up, was beyond the financial compensation, which is important. But there are also other ways that these partnerships can be leveraged. But I want to throw that back to everyone else. What anybody else have any comments on that marketing strategy question?
I I hit on it earlier, and it's truly just continue
Mm-hmm.
that engagement with us. If you see a post from us, a
Mhm.
simple comment, a cheers, oh thank you, or something like that, a repost. I mean that means a lot to us as well.
Right.
Because and that gets your followers
Mm-hmm.
that probably don't follow us. They'll
Mhm.
get them going to their pages like, oh, they done posted Mikey B twice this week already. Let me go to his
Right.
page and see what he got going on. Oh, he
Yeah.
does this. He has this. All right, cool. Boom. I got a new follower, and then they become to learn and trust my opinion on beer and breweries. So that engagement with us via social media is like it's absolutely needed, and that will help us as much as help us as well.
Yeah.
Because I think
I
it's best that.
to add to that, it also shows that, so if Creature Comfort is reposting you, it shows that y'all have a relationship.
Mhm.
And that going back to, we've talked about relationships and how important they are, and it just makes the entire experience, the partnership, feel more authentic.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think it's important that when you are an influencer, that you don't leave it to them to make that decision for you. I think it has to be in your negotiations almost, where you say, hey,
Yes.
I'm going to do this,
Right.
and this is what I require from you to come
Yeah.
back. Repost
Ah,
it this
Absolutely.
okay.
many times,
Okay.
because we want to believe, like, you know what I mean? I mean, anything crafty is going to have a lot of heart in it. So you want to believe
Yes.
in emotion. So you want to believe that people are going to just do the right thing because the right thing should be done. I'm doing something for you, so you're going to give me back. That's just not how business unfortunately works. You know what I mean? Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not malicious. It's just not on their radar to understand
Yep.
the importance
Right.
of it for you. So sometimes you got to kind of educate them through building your brand of saying, hey,
Mhm.
look, I'd love to partner with you. The only thing I ask is that you repost this, you know, each day, or you repost this each time. In that, you
Mhm.
may find out, like, well, actually, we don't have anybody run our social media. And like, well, that's actually something that I may be able to help you with.
Exactly.
So when
Mhm.
you drive those
Great point.
conversations more, and that's what I've learned a lot of in negotiations. You have to come to the table with what you want. You cannot depend on them. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, whoever it is, and you want more time or whatever. You have to know what you want in negotiations, or not, the other person has the advantage
Right.
because they know what they're not going to give. You're the one coming to them. They have the advantage. So you definitely have to go and say, hey, look, this is what I want in exchange, and this is what I'll give you for, you know, what you're going to give to me. I think that can help a lot in that, because I learned that the hard way myself, of doing things and saying, well, I put all these people on, like, why aren't they giving me a look? Why aren't they throwing some money back my way? Why aren't they I have to actually ask for this. I have to be like, yeah, you do.
Yes.
You only get what you negotiate.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
just how it is.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Closed mouths don't get
Absolutely.
fed.
Close
Yes,
mouth
Amen.
said,
absolutely.
Amen. Amen. And I
ask for
think that
ask
was
for
a gem.
forgiveness, not permission.
There you
Exactly.
go. There you go. I think that was a gem right there that and not just for the influencer industry, but in general, understand what you bring into the
Mhm.
table, and negotiation is not a bad word.
Mm-mm.
I think a
No, it's
lot of
not.
times we get not, I don't want to say scared, but I'm gonna say scared. We're scared because we don't want to lose the relationship. But if we're not bringing what we value, and our value is in our voice, and if we're bringing that, then we need to have some type of win-win partnership out of this. Just like breweries and brand content, and anyone in this industry who is looking for some type of support uh, from influencers, this is what you do.
Yes, exactly.
You have this product that you are trying to get out to the masses. Influencers can help with that, but we need to know as influencers that our voice is the value in this
Mhm.
conversation. So if I'm negotiating with you, it's not a bad thing. It's not because I'm fighting for my voice to be heard.
Right.
Just like you want your product to be sold, I want my voice to be heard. And
Mhm.
that's where that win-win partnership comes in. So how is it that we can both get something great out of this, and we can continue to build on that partnership for future opportunities? That's where we need to that's
Indeed.
the goal, right? That's the
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
So I think we've got a few more minutes, guys. I want to tackle some of these questions that are in the
Let's
comments,
do it.
because let's start with the first one from NTX Beer. Shout out to North Texas. Al. Have any of you had a relationship with a brewery that you were promoting, and then later learned there were situations happening at the brewery that were questionable? If so, what was your response? All right, kick us off, Swerve. Kick us off.
So I'm gonna put my influencer hat on. I'm not gonna mention the name of this brewery because we
There you
all
Please
know
go.
don't.
the brewery.
Please don't.
But
Mhm.
I don't know how I can tell this story and not people not put it together. But I'll do the
Right.
due diligence and not mention the name and let you draw your own conclusion.
All right.
So when we were putting together our leaders of the Brew School Collective at the beginning, we partnered with a brewery that were remain nameless to do a beer with them called for the Black is Beautiful release that everyone knows about. If you had to
Right.
be sleeping on a rock if you haven't seen a Black is Beautiful beer, know about that last year.
Exactly.
That was an amazing job of brand recognition. You know what I mean? That
Absolutely.
they hit it on the head with that particular piece of it.
Absolutely.
So when we were working with them, now again, I'm coming from a corporate America background, so I'm always looking at the win-win for both groups. Like, okay, you're doing this, but why are you doing this? You're not just doing this, just to be nice. There's something
Mhm.
you're gaining of this.
Mhm.
So we started to do the beer, and then we found out that they unfortunately had some bad press overseas with a political affiliation they had that doesn't really align with a lot of the biopic thoughts or anything in this whole culture we're building. So it started to say like, oh, okay, so that's why you guys were so quick to do this, because you were, this was more a reputation thing. You wanted to spin your reputation. You wanted to do this to give yourself some attention, because behind the scenes, people are like, hey, why'd y'all choose to do it with these people? Like, you know what I mean? Just curious. I mean, being nice about it, but I mean, after two or three, after somebody asks, different people ask you the same question two or three times, it's like, okay, I'm missing something here, because this isn't just a one-off. So you start to get that, and then that's when I started to really learn about these partnerships, if you will, because, and I always, say this, they'll let you play in their kitchen. You know what I mean? They'll let you stir the pot. They'll let you drop some hops in the top. You know what I
Right.
mean? But what are you really getting from that? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what are you getting from that? Because you're bringing all your brand, all your influence. So not only without that knowledge did we kind of give them the check box that they're an ally, if you will, but they've also, let you play in the kitchen, made you feel good, like, oh wow, they really care about us. Now, from my take, and you guys can back me up on this, and I would even lead the creatures. When you release a new beer of any kind, the one thing you want to do is sell it and get rid of it. You don't just want it
Yeah.
to sit there.
Right.
So it's very odd to me that they had this beer that was just sitting there in their tap room, and there wasn't really any push. It wasn't pushing any website. There wasn't anything to really sell the beer, so to say. So that's what I
Mm.
always look at, is like, what are you doing? The writing on the wall. And it showed to me that maybe it wasn't purposeful, but their execution was poor in doing that. And it looks like you did it for just a play in the background. Had I had that information, me being me, I would have had a lot more questions and have been a lot more. I don't know if I would have been as comfortable in going with the partnership, because we're finding that through the back end. It's kind of like, oh man, you kind of played to our ignorance a little bit. So
Exactly.
Mhm.
that
Yep.
was an opportunity that I think all of us that were part of that collective learn from. And I try to really tell that story to everyone of like, look, you got to really, really know what it is. You can't just take it on
Yep.
surface. You
Yeah.
have to see what are the
Yeah.
reason they're doing it. It could be just, but you need to know what that reason is. And unfortunately, in this situation, I think we gave them a check box, because even to add to it, like, I'm part of the collective that did this beer, but I can't even get a beer because at the time I wasn't really known. Like, no, like, I always joke with everybody, like, some of y'all had to meet two or three times before you really knew who I was, because I really didn't have any notoriety or whatever, which is fine. I get that. But with that being said, I'm part of the collective that did this beer, and I can't even get a beer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you, not to say you should know who I am, but you should know there's a group of people here that made this beer, and one of them may be asking for said beer or who
Mhm.
to go to. Not for free. I wouldn't even pay for it. I just wanted
Right.
a beer.
Right.
I couldn't even get that, and it's like, okay, so this is kind of weird. And that's where I think that we need to start backing up and really kicking the tires on what we're partnering with, what are they gaining out of it, and knowing what you're getting in, knowing what you're trying to get out of it in the partnership.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Was it a
Asked a
hot button?
lot of
A
questions.
hot
A
button.
lot
That's a
of
hot
questions.
button. That was a hot
Absolutely.
button with that.
that was, hey, yeah, that definitely triggering
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Swerve.
I got two triggers. That one, and taking advantage of our influence.
There you go.
Yeah.
Misappropriating our culture. Those are two things that I think we're starting to see, unfortunately, a lot
Yeah.
Yeah.
with breweries the people we know. Like, I know some of these owners of these breweries, and I want to believe that they didn't mean to misappropriate when they threw some hip hop thing on their can and try to have some little saucy hip hop statement. Like, I ain't saying names, Mikey, but I know you know what I'm talking about. But I'm
I
saying,
know what you're
like,
talking about.
that's what I'm saying, is that I think that we need to check those people. We need to say,
Yeah.
hey, I know you personally. What were y'all thinking here?
What you doing? Yeah, like what was your thought
Explain that
behind
to me. Like, did you
And
talk to
it?
these people before you put
absolutely.
your name on it? Or did you just say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Y'all cultures for whatever, we just gonna go ahead and do that. Would you do that with other cultures? Would you throw would you throw Willie Nelson just on your can, or would you do the due diligence to see if you're
Mhm.
gonna, get a cease and desist? That
Exactly.
they don't do with us, and they end up getting cease and desist.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I I
I-
I fortunately have not ran
Okay.
into that situation. So I but everything that Swerve said is absolutely correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we got another question from Georgette C. Grace. In different
Hey G.
industries, for example, makeup and fashion, there have
Mhm.
been noted differences in influencer treatment based on race and ethnicity. Have you noticed differences in your industry as well? That's a great question, Georgette. A
Mhm.
great question.
Absolutely.
Anybody want to
Absolutely.
take that one? I'm trying to formulate my thoughts around it.
Now
Like,
let me breathe. Come back around to me on this one.
I I'm gonna say absolutely. I look at it like this, and I'll give you all my scenario as quickly as I possibly can. There was a festival uh, in the city. All right, I'm not gonna say the city. There was a festival in the city that I realized I was like, look, I want to be a part of that. So I reached out and I was like, hey, look, I'm Mikey B, craft beer content creator. I feel like we can both leverage this partnership with me, getting media tickets to this event, and then I'll put together some pictures, videos. I'll capture everything, and here's a little bit of my work, and here's a little bit of what I've done. Well, they come back and say, "Oh, no, you need to have over 5,000 followers to make this happen. I mean, for us to give you media tickets." And I was like, okay, since when did followers dictate value? But, that's a different topic. Um, Later on, I've seen other people that have less followers than I had posting about the event and giving away tickets. So when we all know that when you do a ticket giveaway, the brewery gives you the tickets to give away. We know that. And they have
Yeah.
less followers than I have. So I'm like, and of course, they are of a different race and ethnicity. And, I raised the question. I'm like, hey, look, I took screenshots because I want to know. I asked, hey, look, how did they get these tickets? But, I couldn't get the tickets and I have more
Good for
followers than
you,
them.
Mikey B. Good for
And
you.
oh
absolutely.
man, listen,
Absolutely.
I stand up, I stand tall on that, man. You're not about to play me, especially because of my race. Like you're not about to play me at all.
Mhm.
So and they were like, oh yeah, it was an accident. Here go tickets.
It wasn't an
It
accident.
Oh
wasn't.
no, I know it wasn't an accident at all. And it's one of those things that unfortunately we go through. I hate that we have to go through that. We actually don't have to go through that because I feel like not only just in Atlanta, but nationwide, we're building something that's going to be bigger than what the craft beer industry has to offer right now. You know, there's
100%.
going there's going to be a point where they need us.
Yes.
And I'm just
Oh,
I think
yeah.
cut out.
I
Or
think he cut out Mikey B, but he was making a great point, which leads to that third and final question that we have in the comments. What is the number one way in which followers can support our beer
sorry.
influencers? And
mm,
you did cut out. Thanks. You
I
you
did.
made it back just in time.
I
But you
did. I'm
was on the
sorry.
roll. You
I
was on the
was.
roll.
I'm
But
glad it
that
cut out because I was going to keep going.
but yeah, but it leads to that last question. So, anybody jump in on that? What
yeah.
is the number one way that followers can support beer influencers? And I'm gonna jump in real quick and say follow and share, like
Yes.
and share,
Yes. Like,
like and
share.
share.
Yes.
Comment,
Save,
engage.
Yes,
engage. Yes.
Engage is the important
yes,
part. I think
Yes.
that's something I've learned over the last
Engagement.
bit of time. And when we say engagement, that's not just a like heart. That's actually commenting in it. That's
Yes.
saving the post. That's reposting
Mhm.
it, like
yes,
real. All of those things. And people may not get the metrics of like how IG works because most people just scroll and like things and just think it is.
yep,
But from an
yep,
influencer perspective, that's what gains metrics. Those are the things
right,
that they look at. So when they look at it and say, okay, let's look at your social media, yeah, you got likes, but what's your engagement? And like,
Right.
what's your
yes,
engagement of you having conversation with people and people
Exactly.
conversating in your thing? So anybody who may not know that, that's the most important thing that they actually look at from any source. That's the first thing they look at is your engagement. Then they may look at your followers. But I mean, to the point that Mikey was making, you can buy followers. You know what I mean? You can have 10,000 followers and really only know 700 of them, maybe, so
Maybe. Exactly.
followers is fleeting. You know what I mean? From that
Yeah.
right,
perspective. So that's why it's
exactly.
important to make sure that you have engaged with your social media, you're engaging, you're posting. It's a job. I mean, that's
It
something we
is.
learned.
Yes.
This
It
social
Yes,
is.
it
media
is.
itself
Yes.
is a job. We here at Atlantucky have a social media manager. Her job is strictly to manage social media.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably should be paying her more than we're paying her for all the work that you don't think about because you think, oh man, it takes a few seconds to put a post together.
It
But
does.
No,
No, it
it
does
does
you
not.
got
not.
you
As
got to
someone
go
who
back
has
after.
ran social for a brewery, it
Say it.
is a lot of work.
I
It's
mean,
a
we're
lot of
talking
work.
8 hours to maybe do 2 or 3
Hours.
posts, and
There's
people
a
Yes.
think
lot
like,
of
shit, that.
strategy that goes into
Go ahead, Steph.
everything that you see. There's a lot of strategy and effort. And so even for influencers, social media, if you see someone with a certain amount of followers, they have put a lot of time and effort into what they're
Absolutely.
doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And going back to the comment or the question about how to support, when you see those sponsored posts go, please like, share, like that's when you need to do
Save.
so that you can show, so that we can show our partners, hey, we posted this and look at
Right.
how well it did.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think to
What?
say
That
on
that helps
the
so
Yeah,
much.
sponsor, and sometimes you look at the sponsor like, oh, that's just ads. But if it's to something that you like, that's
Right.
the Stephanies and the Mikey B's working with them to get those posts on there. So you may
absolutely.
swipe past that, but think like, well, let me go to their page. Nah, that's what you need to like and repost
Yeah.
are the
Exactly.
actual sponsored ads. They may seem like
Yes.
they're selling something, but that's the real support that you're giving to your people. So that's the thing I think we with influence, you really have to understand everything that's put into what may seem as simple as just a post. Because when you're just
Exactly.
for fun, like just my IG, I take a picture of my grandbaby, I post it, it may get some likes, it may not. But I think people realize, like, wow, I did this thing, it got all of these likes. Why did this post get more? You did that by happenstance. Influencers put the time, the effort,
Yeah.
the thought, and everything to make sure
Yeah.
it got the optimal likes and optimal attention from the background, from the filter, from the time
Hmm.
of day that you posted, from the
Yep.
Yes.
times you posted, all of
Yes.
those things that may seem very insignificant. Me,
Right.
like I'm older. I'm in a range where I wake up and look at IG. My daughter's younger. She's looking at IG during the middle of the day. You have to
Right.
understand those different lanes of like, okay, this is my target audience at this time. This is my
Yep.
target audience at this time. And that's
Exactly.
just me saying it from what I've learned from influencers. So that's just a point to show those who may not understand how much work that they put in, how important they are in today's society of the social media time. Like some
Right.
people think like, oh, well, I mean, that doesn't make sense. Like, so what are you going to do? You want to post flyers and put them on cars? Like that's dead. You know what I mean? Were you going to put an ad in the paper? Like who reads a newspaper? Like, so the thinking has to move towards influencers and that social media approach to push on your
X.
business and all the work that comes into it. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Mikey B put a post together. Have you ever seen the work that he does to the editing? What
I
he looks
mean,
almost crazy at
Right.
first because he's just walking around and jumping around in the background. You're like, what he's doing? And then you see words come behind him. He drops off. Like that's got to take at least 3 days of time to put that post together.
absolutely.
I'm
4.
credit you, my brother, 4 days.
Yeah.
But all of that needs to be what all of these companies understand that it takes, and we show them that metrics because of everything that comes into it.
Right.
Absolutely. Roshni, it felt like you had something to jump
Yeah,
in
I
there.
was just going to
Yeah.
ask a quick question for the question of what can followers do. Would you say it's also helpful for them while they're engaging and commenting to be advocates for you and think a little deeper of who do I know who might be a fan and tag them to maybe say,
Absolutely.
oh, hey, you should
Absolutely.
probably check this
Yep.
comment out, check out this person and follow them too.
No, facts.
So that way, again, you're authentically like trying to spread that word and spread that following
Yeah.
to people who might genuinely want to follow themselves, and then they would keep that trend going.
Right.
Yes.
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 I know we getting short on time, so I make this quick. Another thing that they could do as well, like when you actually go to these breweries, say, hey, look, Stephanie sent me here, Swerve sent me here, Mikey B sent me here. I saw they posted about
Yes.
it. This is the beer that they posted about. I would love to try this beer. Do you have it, or do you have anything close to this beer? Because Mikey B, Stephanie, Swerve sent me there. So
Mhm.
Yes.
that's another way to help too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, y'all, we have less than 3 minutes left, I think.
Mhm.
My math ain't mathing right now. It's it's no coffee and no beer. So,
About to have one in
any
a minute.
about to have one in
Hey.
a minute. But what is one thing that you hope attendees receive from this discussion? And Roshni, I want to start with you.
There's so much to learn from this discussion, but I think we all really talked about the importance of relationships.
Mhm.
So I would say, please feel free to reach out to me. I would assume that everyone on here would feel the same. We're
Yep.
happy to
Yes.
keep those relationships going. And if anyone wants me to introduce them to anyone else that I might know, we have so many connections in the brewing world. And we all have our own little specialties and niches, but we're happy to make those connections to help everyone grow together.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Stephanie?
Um, I hope that anyone who didn't realize the effort and time that goes into being an influencer understands that this
Yeah.
is a
There you go
job.
again.
And we really, I think part of the reason why people don't like that word influencers is because they're not seen as respected, but
Right.
they deserve a
Yeah.
lot of respect.
Absolutely.
A lot of respect.
Right.
Absolutely. Swerve.
Um, I think two things I'd like people to take away is one, for the influencers, know your worth, know
Mhm.
that what you're doing is important, that it's something that's newer. So a lot of businesses just don't understand it. And like I said,
Mhm.
they have an older thinking, probably coming from the putting flyers on cars and that type of perspective. So know, what you're bringing to the table. And for those breweries, and again, this is not to point out our lovely panel member, but for all breweries, understand that, this is how you get ahead of the game. A lot of
Right.
breweries out here, and again, trying not to mention names, but some of the breweries you see, they're like, wow, why is this brewery with maybe average beer getting so out? And it's because of their relationships with influencers and understanding the current market and how to push their business forward.
All right. Mikey B,
Thank
close
y'all.
us out.
Hey, look,
That's
I
it.
definitely, I think that's it. But thank y'all so much. This has been awesome. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I completely appreciate it.
Thank y'all so much. Listen, this conversation was birthed. Me and Swerve was talking. Was birthed in my kitchen. So
Mm,
I'm so glad to see it come to
That's
fruition.
very
Thank
funny. I
y'all
was
so much.
literally thinking about that as well. It's
Right?
like, wow, this was
Yes.
just a conversation of us just, talking and shooting the shit like we do,
right,
That's
right.
right.
and Kiana said, you know what,
Exactly.
I'm gonna do something with this. And here we are. And I think
And
you did a great job,
yes.
Kiana. Your
Thank
questions were put
you.
together
Exactly.
well. And I
Great.
think this is a very important thing for breweries to, I'm always worried about not speaking to the choir, like the people that
Right.
need to hear it. How do we get
Right.
that in front of them? And that's, what we want to hope comes from this.
Absolutely.
All right now.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thank y'all
everybody.
so much.
Thank you for
See y'all
joining
later.
us. Y'all continue to participate in these craft beer con
Oh yeah.
virtual panels.
I'm
There's
finna
one
log in
going
on the
on
next
right
one.
now. So go and jump on over. If you missed one from earlier, the recordings are available on YouTube. Support Jen Price in this
Yes.
movement, y'all.
For
We are
Jim
building.
Price.
Get it.
We are building. I hope to see y'all tonight. If you are in
Yep.
Atlanta, Brews and Beats, tomorrow, the day camp experience. Let's get it. Let's close out
All
on a
right now.
great note. Thank
Yes.
you.
Cheers. Peace out,
Cheers,
y'all.
y'all. It's time for a beer.
Yes, it is.